champions, Indianapolis Colts.
This is the Indianapolis Colts Journey to the Super Bowl podcast, and I'm your host, Dakota Lee Tracy Bernard Burrows. Before we get started, I would like you to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss another episode. This past Sunday, the Houston Texans took on the Kansas City Chiefs. Some Colts fans are really disappointed in the outcome, but to be fair, it puts us in an opportunity to become the number 2 seed in the playoffs since the Texans won. We'll take more of a look at that game in a minute, but let's talk about the Titans and the Jaguars. The Titans got smashed by the Denver Broncos. The unbeaten Denver Broncos finally won a game, and it was against the Tennessee Titans. Now the Titans are 2 games back, plus they're 0-2 in the division. It's getting harder and harder for them to come back against any of our teams in the AFC South. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are also 2 games back because they lost against the New Orleans Saints. They lost 13-6. They played pretty well, but again, they got to be able to beat these good teams. The next couple weeks, the Jaguars are going to have the chance to gain some momentum as they're going to be playing against 2 really bad teams before they take on the Texans. If they can beat the Texans, they might have a chance to come back, but I don't see that happening. They tend to not be able to beat good teams. This week, the Tennessee Titans are benching Marcus Mariota for Ryan Tannehill. I liked Ryan Tannehill when he was on the Dolphins. I didn't think he was a bad quarterback. He just didn't have the right opportunities or the right tools around him. Right now, the Titans are sitting at 2-4, and the Chargers are also sitting at 2-4. They're playing each other this week. It might be a tough one for the Titans, or it might be a tough one for the Chargers. The Chargers haven't been playing to the expectations as they were at the beginning of the year, but I wouldn't count out their dominant running game. They have 3 really good running backs that can kill any team, in my opinion. This week, the 2-4 Jaguars are going to be playing against the 0-6 Cincinnati Bengals. Hopefully the Bengals can pull this off and beat the Jaguars. I don't see the Bengals winning though. I see the Jaguars over the Bengals, just like I see the Jaguars also winning next week. But that might actually help them when they face the Texans. The Texans are our biggest matchup right now. And I think if the Jaguars can beat the Texans, that's going to help us out a lot. Also, the Jaguars traded their most dominant cornerback to the Rams, so that may affect the Jaguars in a way that helps us or doesn't help us. It could affect their locker room in a good way or a bad way. Jalen Ramsey was a vermin in the locker room. Them trading away Jalen might have helped their morale in the locker room, or it could have seriously injured their morale. And they could have lost a whole lot of confidence because one of their best players is no longer on their team. I personally don't know how I feel about the trade just because I don't know how it's going to affect the Jaguars. No matter how bad or how good it affects the Jaguars, it's going to affect the Colts because they're in the same division. So Week 11 marks the day that Devin Funchess is allowed to return if he's able to. If he's able to return in Week 11 and he does return, that could do a couple things. 1, help his argument on coming back next year, and 2, help out our offense. It looks like this week Kenny Moore is out for the game. Despite Kenny Moore being one of our best players, I think that's going to give Rocky Sin a chance to shine, a chance to show that we drafted him for a great reason. And what's a better opportunity than this week against one of the best wide receiver groups in the league? It also looks like Pierre Desir is questionable for the game, and that may hurt us, but that also gives more opportunities for other cornerbacks on our team to show that they can play. Yes, we have Rocky Sin that we drafted, but we also have Shaquille Taylor, who I feel like is a really good cornerback, a solid rookie cornerback, who recently was brought up from the practice squad. I thought he done well in the preseason. I thought when they brought him in part of the Kansas City game, he did well. And then we can't forget about Ryan Lewis that Chris Ballard was very high on when we got him off of waivers right after the preseason. These guys are going to really have to step up because they're playing against one of the best wide receiver groups in the league. I thought they really stepped up in the Kansas City game, but this game is what really matters. The Texans game is what matters. It's the division rival game. Speaking of Sunday's game, this Sunday is going to be the second time I ever been to a football game. If your curiosity catches your mind, I'm in section 609. I'm going to help bring the noise, and I hope all y'all that is there does as well. This Sunday, we're going to have to play Deshaun Watson the way we played Patrick Mahomes. The difference between the two quarterbacks, though, is that Patrick Mahomes always looks for the receiver. Even if he's running the ball, he's going to try to pass it first. Deshaun Watson, on the other hand, he'll run the the ball. If he's going to run the ball, he's going to run the ball. He ain't passing it. He ain't going to be on the wrong side of the field and throw it across his body like Patrick Mahomes. So we're going to have to really contain Watson just as well as we did Mahomes. We might have to contain him even tighter than we contained Mahomes. They do have one of the best wide receiver groups in the league, so we do need to cover them very tightly, but we don't want to forget about their running game. Carlos Hyde is a very good running back, and last week he ran for over 116 yards against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a very bad running defense. That's also one of our weaknesses as well. We might not have allowed a 100-yard rusher, but again, we've allowed 100-yard rushing teams. Despite that being one of our weaknesses, I think we do want them to run the ball, because if they're running the ball, that means their wide receivers are not getting open, and their wide receiver group is more dangerous than their running group. Offensively, I think we need to air the ball out, because the Texans secondary has been allowing a lot of yards. T.Y. Hilton is going to be utilized, but I think we should utilize Zach Pascal a little bit more, just because they know that T.Y. Hilton is going to come out and play strong, or try to play strong. We're going to come out and pass it to him is what the Texans are looking for. So we need to spread our weapons out. We need to pass it to Ebron, Doyle, Pascal. We need to pass it to anyone that's not T.Y. Hilton. And no, I'm not saying don't pass it to T.Y. T.Y. is going to get open. If he gets open, pass it to him. By all means, pass it to him. I'm just saying that we're going to need to put our tight ends and our other receivers in different opportunities to catch the ball, because they're going to cover T.Y. Hilton very tight. I personally would expect any team to cover T.Y. very tight, but the Texans are going to come out very strong trying to play against T.Y. because T.Y. just demolishes the Texans secondary every time he plays them. This is a very crucial game that we do not want to be behind in. The Texans may have a dominant offense, but they don't have a dominant defense. We got to be able to score as much as they do. We got to be able to stop their offense a little bit more than their defense can stop our offense. That sounds like an obvious statement right there. But to be fair, they put up 53 points against the Falcons. But their defense allowed 32 points. That's a lot of points for the offense, but that's also a lot of points their defense allowed. If we could score over 20 points, then we're definitely going to win this game. Our defense just has to be able to step up in the crucial moments. But whatever scenario, don't ever count out the Colts. The Colts can win in any situation. They'll do it for this show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I kind of had to redo this entire thing because we had a power outage in the morning and it deleted everything on my computer because I didn't save it. So I hope it doesn't sound that bad. Anyways, I'll be at the game Sunday. I hope to see you guys there. If you guys aren't there, I hope you guys are enjoying it on TV at home. But my name is Dakota Lee Tracy Bernard Burrows, and I'm out for this week.
This has been a DLTBB production. For any questions, concerns, ideas, or advice, message Dakota at DLTBB on Twitter and DLTBB on Instagram. You can also message us on the I Love the Indianapolis Colts Facebook page.